Ooh,
As
thank you.
you guys know, I never know exactly how I'm going to start this until I press the record button. But for this particular guest, I had something drop into my head and I wanted to read it to you because this is the very definition of the woman who is sitting in the podcast circle with us. So, a pinch of soul with a whole lot of sass, a sprinkle of naughty, and just enough class. The strength of a warrior and a go to hell glare. A past that's not perfect because life isn't fair. A sailor's mouth. I don't know if that one's necessarily true. We'll find out.
Oh my
With a heart full
God,
of
it's
love,
perfect.
that's what a badass is made of.
Oh shit.
And we
That is,
lost Kaylin, so we broke the internet, you guys.
well, after that description. Oh man.
Where do you go from there?
I don't know.
Exactly. So, Nikki, welcome to the podcast. We're just going to roll and have Kaylin join us when we have her back.
She'll come when she needs to.
That's right. I
So-
love that description. That's
That was-
perfectly said, Cass.
I just got that from, her meeting her on the little, what is it called? Marco Polo channel. But Jade, I'm going to actually have you do her real introduction of why she's here.
Yes, very good.
Cool.
Oh, Nikki. Oh. I met Nikki in Logos school. How old were we when we met each other?
I would
Like
like
you-
to know that.
You
came-
went from kindergarten all the way through.
Yes.
And
it
I
was-
went from 6th grade all the way through. And you are how many years younger than me? 3?
4, 5.
4. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So significant
Yeah.
when you're in, 6th grade, but I got to
Yeah.
know you when I was in high school then.
I-
And just remember you were that same smile that you have right now, just the biggest smile, the brightest light. We were often in trouble for talking too much. Nikki and I were
Very-
often in trouble for being too much.
Oh.
Oh.
Cass, can you relate to that?
No,
at
I
all?
can't relate to that at all. That seems fake.
Too much. So Nikki and I were firecrackers. We were, if we would have been in the same grade, who knows what the fuck we would have got up to.
And your school was super small, right? So you guys
Yeah.
knew each other's like pretty well. And
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we did, but we didn't hang out a lot because of the age difference. But when we did hang out, it was pretty magical, as you can see in the little picture that you're going to see on the show notes. So
That was my 8th grade graduation.
yeah. Yeah. I remember you asking me to take the picture with you.
Oh, I had a huge crush on you. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
that
Not
happens
only-
with Jade.
I know.
We get
Yeah.
that.
It was, I mean, who wouldn't? But also kindred spirits, like immediately. I think we had an elective class together. I graduated with a class of 10 and you had 8.
8. Yeah.
How many people were in your school?
High school was 50, right? Like around 50 people in our high school. And then junior high, I don't know. Grades were getting bigger underneath me, but like I think I was the last of the small grades to graduate. Now they're 20 to 30. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Kindred spirits,
it was
always in trouble.
yeah, tight school. We had lunch together. I mean, all the stuff, and I was one of the loudest people in the school. So
For
so
sure.
what were you guys always in trouble for? Because I just heard that little
I
side.
know.
I was like, that's what I want to know. Let's go there.
We
I
never got
know.
in trouble together.
definitely not together, but it would have been rad if we could have.
If we would have been any
We
near
are
in age, we would have fucked that school up because we were doing that individually, getting in lots of trouble.
So what were you getting into trouble for individually?
Oh God. Did
God.
you get spanked in 6th grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. But while I was spanked, probably, I don't know, I don't even know. And how did that, sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent. How did the conversation go when the principal said, oh, and we spank here, that's our policy? Like what parents, like, yay! I guess our
Sounds like a good idea.
Right,
Yeah.
please hit my child if they misbehave. Beautiful.
Yeah. And Nikki's story of being spanked is really fucked up. I mean, we're not talking we're talking a male.
Yeah. with no
striking.
yeah, the first time it was my teacher was there and she was a female, and that was third grade. And actually, yeah, the principal's daughter got me in trouble is how I like to say the whole story. But the
In the
principal's
third
daughter,
grade?
yeah, and she was in my class, the principal's daughter, and and so I got in trouble. And yeah, third grade, well, I got spanked in fourth, no, was I in third, fifth grade? Your dad, I graffitied the back of one of your dad's freaking desk chairs because I don't know why. I was in a bad, I'm not a graffiti person. But yeah, I got spanked, dude, in fifth grade.
So my
Wait, what happened
stepfather
in
was
third grade? I need to know what the principal's
not a
daughter
graffiti
got you in
person.
trouble for.
But that was my stepfather who was her teacher in fifth grade.
Yeah,
and
just clarify.
and sent her to get spanked. So yeah.
No offense to any graffiti people who are listening to the podcast.
Well, I carved it with something. Yeah, so it wasn't quite just marker. I was a little tricky back then. That was my worst age, I think, in whatever. But okay, your answer to your question, third grade, yeah. It was the kind of thing where she and I would have these little jokes and stuff, and she and I were like jokey people, and we would just have a blast. She was like 100 times smarter than I was, but like it was grade wise, school wise, well, and I don't even know. But and so she kept getting my attention, but like slyly, and I don't have great voice control, like levels wise, especially in third grade. I mean, and so
and Sly is not your middle name. It's
no, the teacher would just wind around and my big smile, my loud whatever, and she'd be like, Nikki, and she'd put, that's not how she sounded, but she put my name on the board, and then if you got 3 checks, then you went to the principal, and it was at least 2 of the times were because of, I won't say her name.
Yeah, it's fine. You're
anyway,
good. Yes.
It was really funny. Not funny, actually.
No, it's not funny.
That is wild that you got spanked for just having a voice.
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Legit. Like that's not doing anything.
Yeah,
like third graders talk to each other. Like that's what kids do. That's a normal part of like growing up.
I think Kaylin said it perfectly, Nikki. We got in trouble for having a voice. That's it. Yeah. Bottom line.
And the podcast is done. So guys, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Mic drop, Kaylin, within 10 minutes.
Yeah, we got in trouble for having a voice. So anytime we were louder, anytime we were extra, anytime we weren't towing the party line, anytime we weren't fitting into the mold, and neither of us do that very well. So we were always in trouble.
Or was that just the girls, or was like boys included?
Yeah, were boys allowed to have a voice?
Punishment?
Girls had a completely different set of rules that they had to abide by than the boys. That was not even implicitly implied. That was like, here's the rules for the girls, here's the rules for the boys. Yeah.
Oh God.
So I know growing up kind of in like a backstory of trauma, you don't realize what's not normal until you realize what's not normal. So for you, I would love to know, like, when did you realize, like, holy shit, my normal is not necessarily normal?
I knew it probably I was in sports, like the Parks and Rec League when I was younger and stuff, and that was one of my biggest outlets was sports, and it's got
I know Nikki is a magnificent athlete. I mean, like one of the best. She's just what she can do with her physicality is just pretty astounding. She could have been like gold medal Olympian for reals.
Oh no, so cool. That'd have been rad.
So anyway, go ahead.
And I love, and that's and actually thankfully that is one of the biggest things that helped set the stage for throwing away the script I was given. But I did sports throughout all throughout my life, and that is the time when I got to have interactions with people that I was like, the way they operate's different, the way they, you know, like even other Christians, like the Nazarene, a lot of the people that I did basketball with, AAU and stuff in high school, even the Christians that were very different in the way that they approached life and everything. And so I started to recognize it early. I would also say that it was, it was outside of college, I finally was like, whoa, wait a minute. I needed more information than I was given to have proper perspective. So, yeah.
But there was always the niggle, right? That little still small voice, like in there, which is why we wouldn't shut up. Like we wouldn't kowtow. We wouldn't stay quiet because it didn't quite fit. That ill-fitting garment of like, do it this way, be this way, didn't fit us very well. So we knew, didn't we? We just didn't know how to express it.
No. Yeah.
What's interesting too is that, you know, a lot of times corporal punishment, right? Spanking, things like that. When you introduce it at a young age, it also loses its sting, if you will. And so you're not afraid of it. So when you start getting spankings at school in the 3rd grade, 2nd grade, you know, and being hit is a normal part of getting in trouble. By the time you're in 6th, 7th, 8th, junior, you know, you're a junior in high school, a senior in high school, it's like, what else? Like you think that that's going to work to get me to like, shut up? Like, no. Well, I've been getting hit for a decade now. Like, try something else.
But they managed to heap a lot of guilt and shame on it. I think that's where we were really waylaid, right, Nikki? Wouldn't you agree? Like, it wasn't the spanking, it was the guilt and the shame. Like, something's wrong with us. We're not doing something right. Would you agree?
So did you take that internal, or did you, what was that like? What was that experience like, being told that something was wrong with you?
You internalized it. Didn't we though, Nikki?
JD, what do you think, JD? What would you say? You internalized it?
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you?
I think I always, my identity, I was kind of like saying that my identity was in Christ and stuff along with everybody else. And so like, I would say I'm an excellent fawner, if you know what I mean. And, but I just like always kind of still was bossy and did things like my way. Like I found some weird way to do it, like the way that I kind of wanted to still, and even if that meant hiding, which sucks, and lying and hiding and all that stuff. But it's like you said, with you get used to the spanking situation. I mean, I would put on 5, 6 pairs of underwear and all the shit, you know, you just feel like, yeah. Or I'd be like crying when my mom spanked me, even though it didn't hurt at all. And that way she wouldn't wait till my dad got home or whatever. And so, but then I'm just like, I recently wrote something about, it just kind of came to me, and you guys are all procreators, right?
I love the way.
I recently procreated. Yes.
That's right. So there was a reason. I can't remember. Okay. It was you.
Yeah,
okay. So,
I'm a breeder.
And I was like, what do you mean procreators? My head goes, I'm a manifestor, not a procreator.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yes, I have children.
Okay, cool. But I was like, and I don't want to be like, because I'm not a parent. I don't want to be disrespectful. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but I have been a kid, and so I would say I still have, you know, okay, things to think and say about it, but I just feel like spanking is lazy parenting. It's literally just saying, I can't think of anything else to do to help you through your emotional crisis except for to scare you and harm you. Like,
correct.
What is that?
Yeah. Spanking is the easy thing, and spanking does more for the parent than it does for the child.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was a spanker for a long time. So.
Oh yeah, right. JD, you were right.
Oh yeah, because I stayed. I thought, I subscribed to Doug Wilson's theory that if you
Oh,
weren't
me too.
spanking your child at least like 15 times
Yeah.
a day, you weren't being a good parent.
Wait, hold
Live
on.
by the
15 times a day?
Oh, at least.
Okay, so clearly there's a whole group of people who are out of this cult now who probably have spanking fetishes, and now we know why. Just throwing that out there. Sorry.
It hurts so good, Cass. It hurts so
I
good.
know. I was like, hold on a second. I found my people.
I love it. Oh, who's this friend?
Oh yes, this is my Lulu. She was barking, so I had to.
Stop it. Her
Yeah.
name is Lulu. Oh,
But
yeah.
I think what's interesting about spanking and parenting and such is that, there's a whole, even people that are not from your guys' cult that spanked their children, a whole bunch of generations of people that did that. And it's not because they thought that, it was the easy route. It's because they didn't know any better. It's because there wasn't enough information out there, or they hadn't heard the information, or it wasn't talked about, that like, that's actually not going to help your child learn the lesson that you think it's going to teach them.
Yeah.
And so there's all of this information now, especially now for parents and for parenting, that tells you like there's research shows that actually really isn't going to teach your kid what you think it's teaching them. It's going to teach them that like, if I do this, I get hit, but it's not actually going to teach them like, what's the right thing to do in this situation.
Totally.
So, but it's
And
it's so much bigger, right, than like just your guys' cult, because that's something like I know, like corporal punishment for like my mother's generation was something like she received at school, and she didn't go to a Christian school, she went to a public school.
Yeah,
so
spanking was one of the very small things in the drops in the bucket of things that were very wrong.
Totally.
Like,
Totally.
I want to like zoom out a little bit, because what I'm hearing too is the spanking of like the physicality, but also the shaming side of things. So can we maybe chat about that a little bit? Because I think that to me stays longer and takes more work to actually work through than just, being hit.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
Cass. Yeah, you're so right. It's shame and guilt is the lowest on that pyramid of emotional
Vibration.
Yeah. And that was where they really got us, I feel like.
Yeah.
Shame and guilt. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nikki, get us with what that was like. And also, if you've already said this, I missed out on the first couple minutes because my Zoom kicked me out. But how old were you when you escaped?
Well,
Define escape.
Yeah, I was like, and still is escaping, but
when you started your journey leaving.
started my journey leaving.
And cutting those ties.
There was a straw, if you will, that broke the camel's back, which that's such a horrible phrase. I feel so bad for the camel. Listen, I was standing in Christchurch. Everybody was doing the benediction, and they were always like, Doug was always wanting to get more and more like, everybody do the same. Let's all raise our hands and we're going to do this and this benediction and all this stuff. And I remember my family, my parents, sorry, I'm going to just really quickly give you a teeny background. My parents, when they became Christians in college, and they met after they had both graduated college at Campus Crusade for Christ conference. And they had both wanted to come on staff individually, but they met, and then they corresponded, and then they got married. They went on to staff at Colorado State University. So I was born in Fort Collins, Colorado, and then they got transferred to U of I, Moscow. And so they were in a non-denominational situation.
That's what I was just going to ask, because I thought they were fucking non-denominational.
Yep, which is another thing that I will attribute to my escape in many ways. Anyway, so our family wasn't always on board with everything out of Doug's mouth and brainchild situations with all the elders and whatnot. And one of them was the raising of the hands, because we were just like, yeah, if the spirit doesn't move us, we're not doing it. And so, because we're all like stubborn motherfuckers, my family, I mean, all of us. And so, like, you know, my mom was probably the first person to decide that she was going to jump in with the hand stuff. But for me, I just was like, yeah, and I was in church one day, and I had turned to my right or whatever, and there was this, like, the rest of the row was like 80 children, and then the parents were like sprinkled in between or whatever, you know. And so, and there was all kinds of ages and everybody, and there was, because they had stopped children,
they had no nursery,
no day school or no church, no little, all the kids had to listen to Doug's long sermons and try to be good.
And if they were crying past the age of 1, you were frowned on as a parent.
Oh yeah, bad news bears.
If they weren't sitting still, listening to the whole sermon from that young of an age, you were looked down on as a parent.
I can't wait to meet this guy.
And so I was standing there, and I didn't mind standing and stuff, and that's fine, on the benediction. And the father was next to the boys or whatever, and one of the little boys, like, I don't know, 4,
probably like 2, 3, like
teeny little toddlery guy. He didn't have his hands up, and the dad smacks him and says, "Get your hands up." And I said, "I'm out. That's it. I am not interested in the lack of free will as we are allowed to have as Christians, and just the control and the, like, complete, you're not allowed to develop or choose your path because you are born into this. So too bad." You know, I just, like, I don't even fucking, anyway.
How old were you?
College, 22, 3. So I stopped going as a member, but I came back many times for, like, Christmas, or, you know, so I would, and I recently, probably within the last 5 years, stopped going completely. Nope. I stopped going completely a while ago, except for my mom got me to go, like, a couple times, and I am, since moving back here, I won't go.
And I just want to stop and say, Nikki is attempting to heal, not even attempting. She's doing a beautiful job. She is healing, but she's doing it in the place that is the source of her trauma.
Yeah.
That's intense.
And we've talked a lot about that, you know, apart from this podcast, how hard that is for her. Just being consistently and constantly triggered.
So are you in Moscow, Idaho, or in that area?
I am
in the town.
I am. It's snowing here right now.
How long have you lived there? Like,
let's see here. From 3 until 26. And then I was in Maui for 4 years, and then Santa Cruz for a decade. And then I moved back here for a little bit, for like a year, just for like a summer or something. And then I was moving back to Maui, and I lived in Maui, and then my grandpa died, and then my grandma needed care. So I moved back here to caretake her, and she passed, and I was going to leave immediately, but I, in the midst of caretaking my grandma, met my partner. And so I am still here with my partner until we move somewhere else.
So that's a happy reason too.
That's a very happy reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I just can't imagine though, like just thinking about kind of my trauma and like driving past like the places where things happened and like
Mhm.
kind of having all of those memories kind of ruminate and cycle. Does that happen for you? Because I see you shaking your head no.
Oh no, I'm shaking my head. That's not even the small, like the least of it. Like I I also have sexual trauma here, and so it's a very small town, and so there's never a place where I don't see someone that's either from the church, or or from my old school, and I just like I pretty much I always wear masks anyway, so I'm so happy to wear masks, and I like being incognito here, and I didn't used to. Uh, but with what has triggered the last 3 years, have been different for me.
Yeah.
Is there a place that you feel safe there, just out of curiosity? Because when the healing journey, so often you need that safe place to kind of reground and come back to you. Do you have that?
Yes, and my partner's house is awesome, and the basement is one of my favorite places. It's where I am right now, and so this is like my base, and I have a really good counselor that I have here, and I am not as social as I used to be. These last 3 years have like definitely kind of I can't I'm I used to have too many friends to even handle, and now I am like don't even want anyone. Like I think I my body said we're done. My nervous system and everything just kind of like shut down on me, and like my whole body I've been through like surgeries and injections and procedures and all these things the last 3 years. My body's like so over being in fight, flight, and well, it just shut down. I'm in shutdown, and I haven't been able to do much. I haven't had the desire to go out, and I am fine healing down here and stuff, but I the winter doesn't work for me.
The winter, yeah.
Not for my body.
Amen.
Not for nothing. I'm a Pisces.
Oh, Pisces.
And I need some water, and I need warm. So yeah.
From Maui to Idaho is
right.
Yeah. And Santa
she
Cruz
was
too.
Yeah, she was thriving in those spaces too. So we've talked offline. It's funny, I got to throw a little side note in here. Cass, I bet you can both, Cass and Kaylin can both take a guess as to where her Saturn is in the 6th house of health, just like yours, Cass. By the way, mine is too. I don't know why mine is too.
Just like yours, Cass. Oh yeah, and me too.
And me too. So when we are not, doing well, or at any time, even if we're just like the universe is like, it's time to heal now, our bodies are the indicator of it. That's just the way that we're made. And so I also had this like knowledge when we came on this podcast that Cass would not be able to help but like start doing her shaman shit, like where she's tapping into you and be like, I can see her doing it. She's like, just like,
I know.
This is a podcast. This is a podcast.
Bring it on, girl.
I'm actually taking notes because I'm having trouble fucking concentrating.
I know.
I knew it.
I knew too. I knew it would happen.
She's trying to stay in her body. She's fucking going up.
I am. It's hard.
She's gonna want to tap into you because you are so close. What is it, Cass? Like so close to a soul merge, right? Like so close to like such healing, and you're so Nikki, you're so intuitive and you're so wise and you're so just there. And I just want to like take you, like I want to take her for like 3 days, like, right? Cass, 100%. You and me and Kaylin, 3 days, Nikki. Whoosh. There we go.
Well, it's funny because I'm sitting here and I'm asking her about her safe place, and I was like, had she said no, it would have taken everything in my body to not like book a flight for me, you and like Kaylin.
I know.
And been like, okay, let's fucking get her out. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, I know. Like that's like, yeah. So many people are just like, well, get that out of there, and I was just like, well, it's
not time.
like this the whatever universe, I don't know, whatever word you want to use. I have trouble with words because my old words don't work anymore. I'm learning.
They know that about, yes,
Yeah.
yes, they know that. It's hard for us to use words like, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just
they weren't your words to begin with. They were words that were given to you, and you didn't get to choose them. So that's why you struggle so much, because you can't, now you have to choose your own. And it's like, well, none of these feel right.
damn right, girl. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the track keeps playing over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
It is. Totally.
Fuckery. Super fuckery.
Yeah. Well, then also, of course, my head goes to like, I was physically, mentally, and sexually abused, but there was no spiritual abuse. And I feel like when you cross this boundary of spiritual abuse, it's a whole nother level of like bullshit, because it's easy to get over physical. It's easy to get over spanked or, ribs kicked or
easy.
No. Easy.
In the grand scheme of things.
No.
It is in my mind.
It was easy for Cass.
Well, and
it is easier, but when I start thinking about like spiritual trauma and how someone's identity is totally wrapped up into their religion and their belief systems and their value systems, because it's all something that's like pushed on you due to lack of better term.
Their sexual trauma was also involved in that spiritual trauma. So there's like,
there's a whole level of ick.
It's just like this nasty ball of just like shit. Ugh.
So if you don't mind, can I share my sexual abuse story? Is that okay?
Please. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I'm glad you feel safe. Thank
you. And it's interesting the how and when and why like it happened. Cause I think that, so first, well, I believe, and not my first, but the first known trauma that I had was at birth. I did not want to come out of my mother's womb, apparently. And I was having a good time. It's fucking awesome in there, right? It's warm. It's everything you need. And so they dragged me out with the salad spoons, is how my mom puts it.
Oh, yeah.
So really lovely. And so I don't really know how that affected me, because I haven't done like a hypnosis regression shit or whatever, but I believe there's something that happened there. And because both of my parents, their parents, 3 out of 4 of my grandparents fought in World War II. And then my grandma was a immigrant. And anyway, there's generations of not dealing with trauma. So generationally passed down trauma is stuff that I'm learning about now and working through as well. And then no attachment to, or no safe, what's it called? Co-regulation, no safe attachment or co-regulation. My parents were safe enough. But there was a lot of things missing there. And that's a deep dive into some very interesting things about my parents. But I believe that the setup for my sexual trauma was like interesting because of Logos and Christ Church and everything, and the way that Christianity was, and that the lack of information and available to me as a growing adolescent and someone going through puberty. And I don't know if anybody's seen Big Mouth, but it's one of the
right. It's so great, Nikki.
I wish I would have watched it as a kid. I mean,
wouldn't it be great? Yeah. Yeah, I send my son to watch it. Yep, go watch it.
It's important.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's just this lack of growth.
We did not have sex education. Let's just put it that way. We had no idea what was going on in any way, shape, or form.
Zero. My parents didn't want to talk about it. Zero communication. And on top of that, we also were very naive to the world and what
Yep.
it had to offer, bad and good, or I don't even like those phrases, but I trusted everybody. I did not even know any reason not to. I, even though I believed everybody had a sinful nature and we were all born with sin and we had to, you know, blah, blah, blah. For some reason, there was, my world was so much more naive than that, I guess. And I just, you know, thought everybody wanted to be good or whatever. And uh, I was I was a track athlete at the University of Idaho, and my my shoulders dislocated for the first time when I was a junior in high school, but it got worse, and my joints are like, I'm like a Gumby kind of thing, so it makes me really good at sports, but later my body says, you fucking bitch. And so I'm like really bad now in pain, but then it was cool. I was like whipping things around, throwing discus and all that shit. But my body suffered big time from it. And I was always in pain. I was always like, you know, I had tendonitis in my tailbone. I've had like all kinds of disc slippage and stuff and all kinds of things like that. Dislocated shoulders, my hips pop out, you know, all this stuff. And so I've been needing body care my whole life, like that, as far as I can remember, really. I mean, except for, you know, when I was probably under junior high, probably I was really good. Well, I had tendonitis in my hands then, but anyway, I had a back injury at the end of my super senior year at U of I, and so they were like, you need, you know, I need to get some massage to help me out. And so there was a masseuse in town that some of the track athletes had gone to, and he was really good, and he was really good until he was really inappropriate. And I trusted him. I thought, number one, and I'd gone to him for probably over 2 years. There was a long grooming time. And so even after I was done with track, I always did physical work. I love physical work. I want to do everything with my hands and my body, and that's my favorite thing. And so I was in construction and all these things, and so I kept needing body care. And so he was just like, he knew my body, he was amazing, and he really helped me, and he was super nice. I honestly thought he was like this old gay guy, you know. I mean, he fit the profile for, you know, my upbringing, as far as he has an earring in his right ear. Is the right ear, I don't know, like it was just like, I don't know, you know. I was just like, oh yeah, super nice, and I think he's gay, because for some reason I just thought he was, and I was okay with that. And and then I don't, yeah. So there were things that happened that led up to the final thing, that I kind of brushed off as like, oh, that's creepy old guy stuff, well, you know, oh well. And then yeah, I don't know why I brushed it off, but I again was just trying to benefit of the doubt it, you know. But anyway, so it was to have a sexual trauma go into my body, the only identity, you know, my body identity that I had, and not, it really fucked with me. And to not have ever had sexual or have never had done that sexual act before, and to have that be the first, you know, or something like that. And it was just like, I don't know, it was fucked up. So it has also added a layer onto my emotional and religious trauma that is very interesting and so
I feel like it made you spiteful or jaded, or like less willing to trust people in general.
I had trouble with a certain kind, and still do, with a certain demographic of older flirty gentlemen. And so like that, but I don't know, dude, I still fucking trust everybody.
That's just in your nature. That's a part of who you are.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn beautiful.
It is. It's one of her gifts, Kaylin. Like, you know, it's in her chart, as I like to say. This love of humanity and just this willingness to say, I can get back up and I can keep going. It's really beautiful.
Wow.
And yeah, it's pretty special because it's, you know, I think that when I heard Nikki's story, you know, from her mouth as an adult, it just, it took mine, and it's kind of like my story blown up, because when you add, I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, Nikki, but when you add the fact that you know, you were just naturally and beautifully loved women, and it's just who you were. And that was just made, you just were made to feel so confused and so alienated. And so there's a million words we could throw in there right now. But I think that, you know, is important to bring up, because it was almost like a witch hunt against you or something, like, right?
I'm actually really curious about that, and there's interesting little clues sometimes that so I worked at this company called NRS, and then in 2020, when the pandemic hit, we got really busy, and I worked myself into another injury, which happens often to me. And this injury was the one that just, you know, sent me into a whole nother realm of things. And I was, and so, shit, how did I lose that track? What did you just ask me?
I was
Loving
talking
women.
about school and love. Yeah. Just the fact that
the witch hunt.
So yeah. I was diagnosed with complex PTSD by my then psychiatrist, and she, because there's another element that happened, another trauma element that happened before actually almost right before my sexual trauma. And so, and I'll get in, you know, that'll be later. But this episode is too long. Sorry.
That's for us to determine, girl. Keep going.
Go. You're like, my Lord. No, I got diagnosed with complex PTSD, and then my doctor later, I had these blood pressure problems, and she's like, you got PTSD. And so finally I got it in my brain that I need to really like focus on this. And I've been getting, so as I'm healing, doing parts therapy with my therapist, I have these, the technical term is emotional flashes or something like that. I don't know if that's the right term, but for me, it's these still frames or sometimes live photo type situation of just like flashes from my past, just random. I mean, they are emotional, but so there's these clues that I get almost, and where I'm like, did like Doug and Nancy and my parents get together and say, so Nikki's starting to have like proclamations or
proclivities
towards
they liked that word.
Proclivities, thank you, good job. I exactly, they did. And I feel like that everybody was in on trying to keep me to try to get feminine as possible. I had to wear a dress a week, you know.
She had to wear at least one dress a week, you guys. This was her prescription.
My parents rule. I call it my mom's rule, because my dad, I don't know how much, he didn't have much say when it came to when my mom was interested in doing something. So anyway, it was just this mission almost, you know, even Rachel Wilson, who is the daughter of Doug, 1 year younger than me, it felt like she was always trying to thwart my friendships and just has an eye on me. Like, you get too close to other people. Like, it was just
to other girls in particular. Yeah.
Girls.
And you were told to back off. They would break up her friendship.
Oh yeah, totally. Rachel for sure helped break up at least one of my friendships. And then
platonic friendships, or ones that you were like emotionally interested in?
If I were to answer that right now, I would say emotionally interested. And if I were to that back then, I would say, oh no, we're just really tight friends, and yes, we hold hands and take naps together, and but we love each other, and we write letters to each other every day, like
I love it so much.
Like, I love that.
Love letters, I guess. Now that I think back on it, I'm like, I had big
you were in love, and that people were figuring it out. Wait a minute, they're both girls.
Figure it out. I'm always the last one to figure things out, and everybody will tell you that. They'll be like, Nikki, you don't know what that means yet? Oh, you're so cute.
Is that inner chart, Jade?
Well, and you guys, you see that I'm a lot like that too. Totally. So I think that there is some weird, I haven't quite figured it out, like this weird type, right? That like this type that we are, that there's a lot of similarities. We were having that like
gullibility, vulnerability,
naive, empathic, very intuitive. Like we're both so much alike. Always, they had it out for me. Mine was that I was just too sexual in general, that I attracted sexual attention. I just walk into the room and there I am. Oh, you're
Still
sexual.
Does.
You little wood nymph.
It's just who I am.
It's every
little wood nymph.
Responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility but hers.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I have to be put down. I have to be put in my place. I have to, be modest, I would be, it's just a thing. It's just crazy to me.
I know.
And you were just trying to figure it out, and you were just trying to figure out who you were, and you just were not allowed to do that. That's the bottom line.
Development. You were allowed to develop the way you want to develop too. You wanted to be able to walk in a room and not feel like you were tempting every man and teacher. Jesus.
Or that it was my responsibility if I was. Yeah.
Were you allowed to be friends with men?
Me?
Both of you?
We weren't even allowed to date in high school or anything. Like, you can't hold hands with like people. And like, from what I remember is that most of the males will say that men can't be friends with women. It doesn't work because it's too much of a temptation for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we were encouraged to be mentored by men, by older men, by teachers and stuff. If that's what you meant, Caitlin. That was encouraged. Absolutely. That was encouraged. Yeah. The saintly, godly men who often ended up, that one, I was molested by one. I'm surprised you were, the whole spanking story is gross. I mean, that was basically a molestation. So that one of those ones where the door was shut and there was no females in there, and that was like a molestation.
Hey, I like wearing my flannels though. So like, I mean, one of my best friends was Katie Lucas, and she was like super hot. And so most of the attention was on her. And so I was like, perfect. And I was like, wear my flannels and my jeans. And then every now and then I had to wear a dress if my mom caught me before I walked out the door without one on.
Man, it's madness.
What is crazy is that they thought that would change you. Wearing a dress a week. Like, I'm sorry. That ain't going to do it.
I am it does. I am blown away sometimes thinking about, okay, so you think this forcing people to not develop sexually or relationally or on their own time, their own body timeline, body that God gave them, And so it's like, no, we're going to force you to do this. You're going to like resist all your natural tendencies, and you're going to, wear these things and cover this up, and we're only, and not like talk too much or in this or sit next to this person or whatever. And it's going to work. It's going to make you the person we want you to be. And you know what? It works on some people, but not us.
It does.
No.
It's funny that you say that you think it works on some people, because I don't know that to be true.
Okay,
well,
you're right.
some of what they did works on some people.
To what you know, but maybe they're just good at hiding it.
It works.
Well, right. And what does work mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
It works till it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
And then they have their straw that breaks the camel back again, poor camel, and all of the dominoes get flicked, and you start to see all of the connections and all of the interpieces of what was actually going on versus what you see through your masked state.
Yeah. I think that a good question to not necessarily end on, but I think needs to be answered is the question that you had, Caitlin. For Nikki. I think that's a really important question.
Yes. Thank you. Because we've been leading up to it, and I'm like, when can I ask this? When can I ask this? Okay.
Yeah.
So Jade has shared with us about her sexual awakening after she left the cult. And it's my favorite thing, because she said, because she wasn't able to listen to secular music
or watch secular shows, just like Nikki. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And so she finally, gets to like experience pop culture, and she had her sexual awakening to Drunken Love by Beyonce. So now whenever I hear that song, which I love Beyonce, and I hear Surfboard, I think of Jade and her sexual awakening. It's my favorite thing.
The lyrics of that song, I'm like, she's like just going for it, surfboards. And I'm like, does this mean what I think it means? Oh my God, this song is like, I can't even like breathe right now.
Oh man, that's so...
we're going to listen to it.
Somebody's going to get on the dance floor.
And we needed a musical dance party. We're back.
So, Nikki, on that note, what was your sexual awakening?
Oh, boy.
Is there a song or a show or a person
or something?
Something
that just
hell yeah, triggered it, like just like I'm off to the races.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's funny because you say that. There's so much music and movies and shows that I've had to catch up on, and I'm still not caught up. But I remember because like my mom was one of those people, and this is what makes me laugh, is like the TV's on and a sex scene happens or something, she'll like turn it off or turn the volume off or or turn it down, like, and she'll panic about it, like if they see that they're going to hell, or something. It's like quick, oh no, close your ears or whatever, earmuffs. But there's songs that we weren't allowed to listen to. And I remember being in the college weight room and hearing You Make Me Sweat. No shit. Fucking what's that song? It's I Wanna something sex. I don't even know.
I Wanna Sex You Up.
Maybe it was something like
I Wanna Sex You Up, like that.
That's not a weight room song.
Oh, I love that song, but I think it was more in the 90s. It was a super sexual song, and I remember being like almost embarrassed in the weight room because I was like, oh my God, this is talking about sex. And because I didn't have sex in college, and so I didn't, I was just kind of like, oh my God, and people would hit on me, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing or what to do. But I was also hiding, the relationship that I was in and the person that I really loved while I was in college. I was still hiding that relationship. And so, trying to like have crushes on guys or, whatever. Anyway.
Trying to. I love that.
And I have.
Terrible.
If you want to, I hate labels. I do. But if I would say fluid, I really like that word fluid. I'm more fluid. I'm drawn to whoever. And it's just like, that's cool. And so what I did was, and so there's the song portion, but there's actually a sex song or sexy sexual song that I like, and I have to think about it, but I'll get back to you on that.
It's a reason for you guys to go into the show notes.
Yeah.
When I moved to Maui, that was where I just was for the first time, and I knew 3 people on that island. Perfect. And it was fucking brilliant. Okay. And I decided to kind of rebirth myself and just love who I loved and do whatever and just kind of like allow myself to be and, you know, whatever. And so man, I had crushes on guys and girls, and I just was like, you know, trying it all, and I wasn't judgy of myself. Well, I tried not to be. I definitely struggled with the first guy. Oh, he had the most gorgeous eyes, and he had